Hello and welcome back to my Let's Challenge of Final Fantasy XIII. In the last episode, we were making our way through the start of Chapter 4 here in the Vile Peaks. And so we're going to continue on with our chapter here, and we have our new team of Saz, Hope and Vanille, and we have a new set of paradigms. So I'll just show you them, show them off for you here. We've got Trial Disaster for damage, we've got Smart Bomb for stagger, getting that stagger up. We've got Superiority for all the Synergist Saboteur stuff. We've got Malevolence as an aggressive maintain. That could be done like start of a stagger, for example. Get Faith on both Hope, Vanille and Saz and stuff like that. Got Variety as our initial healing paradigm, and we've got Convalescence for emergency healing. Hopefully we won't need to use Convalescence, but we shall see. So now, we're going to start climbing up here. I don't know what was great that meant Vanille decides to say that, but anyway. We'll skip through up here, and then we've got a brief battle, I think, with effects. Pulsebox Soldier. This battle sort of is just here, just to... I'm pretty sure it's just here just to sort of like get you used to the new team. But there's really nothing too difficult to get around it, obviously. We'll be able to just one. Bingo, there we go. As always, getting preemptive strikes on those Pulsebox Soldiers makes things very, very simple. And we're going to get an Inerta, which is a boomerang, obviously, for Hope. Does it increase magic? So essentially, it keeps magic the same, decreases strength, but gives physical wall. That actually better for us, just because as long as it doesn't lower magic, that's pretty much all we need to worry about with Hope. So here we are in the Vile Peaks, and we're going to start moving through, and we're going to start getting sort of like these enemies sort of opening up, or sort of arriving into the area through these sort of various gateways and stuff. Let's see what our friends have to say, if anything. No? Okay, well. See a battle, we can't really get a preemptive strike on, so we'll just to be fair, D-Shell is far more important than D-Protect at the moment, just because all of our team will be using largely magical attacks, so keeping with the magic is fine by me. Don't even need to cast Faith, there we go. Lovely. And indeed, Saz earns his place in my heart throughout the entirety of the start of this game, because he has access to bravery and faith and all the really good offensive, synergist abilities. So a new enemy here. We have these are demons, D-A-E. I never know how to pronounce D-A-E-M-O-N-S. They're called these enemies always come in pairs. And the pairs that these come in are, so you've got these incubus, or incubi, I guess, and then you've got the female equivalent, which will meet very soon in similar battles, and they are succubi. So hopefully we'll get some... There we go, D-Protect and D-Shell are on. Vanille's not going to do anything for a bit, that's fine. And down they go. So the essentially, so like I said, all of these sort of enemy, they come in pairs. There's an offensive pair, an offensive member to the pair, which are in this case the Incubus, and then there's the far weaker, but sort of they have a synergist role almost. They boost their friends, and they are, in this case, the succubus.
A warship from Pulse.
You mean they made it this far?
Of course not. Not during the war, not since. They might have tried, but none of their forces made it into Cocoon. They only damaged the outer rim. Then the Sanctum's Foul Sea pushed them back. What'd you, sleep through history?
More or less. So, what's a ship from Pulse doing here?
Once the war was over, people couldn't live near the rim anymore, in places like the Hanging Edge. So the Foul Sea, they gathered up scrap from Pulse and used it for rebuilding here. This is what was left. A bunch of garbage.
Who'd have thunk? A Pulse Foul Sea and who knows what mixed in with all the trash.
Who'd have thunk?
So there's a key, some key ideas there. The war that they're talking about is the War of Transgression, which is a great conflict that occurred 500 years ago between the forces of Cocoon and Pulse, and is primarily the main source of.
Stop wandering off and stay where I can keep my eye on.
Is that war is the primary source of the antagonism that there is between Cocoon and Pulse. Well, one of the main reasons, I should say. I suppose you could argue other things, but anyway, more battles. But yeah, no. So as they say, so the Pulsian forces attacked Cocoon and tried to break through, but they couldn't break through the outer rim, which is because obviously Cocoon is a shell, as its name would suggest. So in turn, so indeed, when we get the chance to actually look at Cocoon from the outside, which you sort of see in later cutscenes, you see that it sort of has a large sort of, almost a hole, or what looks to be almost like a hole in it, and that's because of the fighting in this War of Transgression. So this great War of Transgression 500 years ago, the Pulse forces damaged the outer rim of Cocoon, only to then be forced back by the Sanctum's Foul Sea and their own sea. And then in the 500 years since, there's obviously been this deep-seated hatred of Pulse being sort of, brought into Cocoon society, as they despise everything from Pulse, anything like that. And yet, it seems relatively clumsy to then think that the same Foul Sea would then, in bringing up the sort of, obviously, these almost, I guess, supplies, as it were, from Pulse in order to repair Cocoon, they would then make the error of bringing up even these sort of active Pulsian, these Pulsework soldiers are Pulsian robots. The only reason that they're here in Cocoon is because they're located here within all of this garbage, as Hope puts it. And indeed, the Bodum vestige was something brought up from Pulse, placed in Cocoon to help to fix, or sort of moved by the Foul Sea back onto Cocoon, and who was to think it would actually have a Pulse Foul Sea located inside? So we'll climb our way through this little area. A few more battles with these Pulsework soldiers and these demons. Daemons. None of these battles are really anything to be worried about. Hopefully we'll be able to take this guy out before Stagger finishes. There we go, good. The Smart Bomb is a very, very useful paradigm, and is one that I often have on a lot of my sets throughout the game, actually. So it's not just one for this chapter, certainly. Indeed. As you can see, I'm being very aggressive here. I'm not using the synergist capability. Certainly not using hope as a synergist much at all here. And that's just how I prefer to play the game. You can be a lot more defensive and set everyone up, but to be honest, I mean, as a general idea throughout the entirety of this game, the longer the battles go on, the more trouble you get in. Because as the battles go on, certain enemies will have extra forms, or they'll have, you know, various things like that, and that's just never good. So anyway, let's have a look. So we've got resist physical damage by 10%, or we've got resist deprotect by 30%. The reason that you might suddenly be like, why on earth would you be resisting deprotect? We haven't had anyone use deprotect yet. Well, we are about to have enemies that want to use deprotect on us. These enemies are the succubi that I was talking about, that come partnered with the incubi. Essentially, whilst the incubus are offensive, the succubus use these dance moves, and they're primarily aimed at essentially casting stuff on you to make things harder. And in this case, obviously, they cast Deprotect, which is not fun. And indeed, greatly actually increases the threat of these incubi. Obviously, the name incubi, so incubi, succubi, that they are a pair. Actually, if you think about it like that way. So we can actually swap to variety here. Need some health for hope. But no, yeah, so incubi and succubi are, you know, like, they come from terms for essentially demons that would prey on humans during the night. So an incubus is a male demon who preys on women during the night, and a succubus is a female demon who would prey on men during the night. Yes, there we go, nice. But essentially, the way you go through most of these battles is you take out the succubus first. All succubus need to go as fast as possible. They're a lot weaker than the incubuses. So you take them out first, and then you get rid of anything else. Fortunately, we didn't get that preemptive. That would have helped. But yeah, the last thing you want is them casting Deprotect on all of your allies and just making it very difficult for them. In this case, actually casting it on me. Can you cast that on me, please? Protect. There we go. So that's a nice little line. It shows you that essentially casting Protect when you are currently afflicted with Deprotect, essentially. So yeah, so casting Protect when you're currently afflicted with Deprotect has the effect of essentially cancelling them out, and you end up, yeah, it just cancels them out, which is... Just wanted a bit more health there. Go, good. Heal you up. So unfortunately, because now we're in a situation where Vanille has actually cast all of her debuffs, so she actually won't be casting anything unless we change her to a different paradigm. But there we go. That worked out okay. And soon we should get another change in the guard. We'll get another different team. 2 Pulsework soldiers. So you can see the Pulsework soldiers do a decent amount of damage, but yeah, there's still really not that much to be worried about. Just going to switch to Malevolence here. We'll go to Smart Bomb here just to try and get the stagger going on this guy. Get hopefully both D-Shell and D-Protect. There we go, nice. Go to Try Disaster, get that stagger, and start taking down that health. Bingo, there we go, cool. That was actually, wow, we actually got 5 stars for that battle for some arbitrary reason. For some reason, we were deemed to have done that battle very, very well. Oh wait, another brief cutscene.
Hey, welcome to the party.
You miss us?
Would it kill her to smile?
Time to move.
So obviously having lightning in as a commando really helps us in terms of damage. Bully isn't bad actually. We still want to start off with Smart Bomb, because Smart Bomb is just such a good paradigm. And then our defensive one is Sin Com Med. We also want diversity. And then do we really need something else? The only other thing we could really use is maybe Rav for those times where you just need to get as fast a stagger as possible. And we're just going to see what else we can. Spark Strike, Aqua Strike. Cool, cool. So, and actually, Hope's just gonna swap out for Lightning, which is really cool. And I mean, the introduction of a com to these teams should hopefully be very much apparent when we just in taking out some of these early battles here. Should make things very, very easy. I say that, and then we take them out. I mean, Lightning is just a better Ravager than she's essentially the best Ravager in the game, and so she ups the stagger bar by the most of all the characters, which just makes her very, very helpful to have in any team. Are you okay? So you are normal. I was just wondering why she was only using Ruin there, but maybe D-Protect hadn't been landed, so it was, yeah, evidently D-Protect had not been landed. But there we go, another quick little battle. Okie dokie, so we want to attack the succubus. And with Lightning on the team, wow, we just take that straight out, which is really good. I do like the idea that Lightning's the best character just in this early game, or like just has the best stats, I guess, because it sort of adds to the idea that everyone else is sort of rallying around her. Like, you know, she's obviously the soldier, and they're all just sort of like somewhat misfits, just sort of fighting because they have to in order to survive. Whereas actually she's far more practiced in these in such skills. Okay, so another 2 on 1. We definitely want to again take rid of the succubus. First of all, hopefully we can get it off before it lands a fruit. Yes, there we go. Good. The really nice thing about being Saz in this chapter is that if I do choose to go into is that if I was to choose to go into a you know, to be a synergist for Saz, then the nice thing about it is that I can choose what I want to land. So obviously, when you're not acting as the synergist, it can be sort of a bit hit and miss as to whether they actually do what you want them to, as it were. But obviously, with your control of the abilities, then you can actually properly assign it. But often you'll also want, you know, to be able to control the saboteur or be able to control individual characters just for certain battles. So this is a battle with... Okay, so this has 2 succubi. So this time we're going to actually take out the incubus first, just because being cast with 2 D protects isn't particularly scary when there's no one like an incubus to really do a lot of damage with it. And the succubus themselves, they don't do that much damage, and obviously are actually pretty weak and go down pretty fast. So now they're going to go into subversive dance, which bestows bravery, as you can see. So they've got 2 individuals who spell there. And they can attack, but they do go through their buffing and their buff and debuff spells before they attack. So yeah, so pretty much when it's easier to take out the more offensive of the 2, then you can. But when it's easier to take out, in all other cases, you just want to get rid of the buffs, the enemies that can buff as fast as possible. Another simple battle. When we get later on into the game, so especially I believe it's chapter 10, there are other versions of these enemies, and they are so annoying to deal with. They're some of the most aggravating enemies in the game. Just ultimately very frustrating. There we go, lovely.
Need to get through here.
So we've got a battle here with 2 pulsework soldiers and something else. Maybe it's 3 pulsework soldiers. Succubus, okay, so we'll just obviously take that out first. Don't want to have a deprotect on us. Ah, good. Well done, Mike. Just going to swap to diversity here just because Vanille was running a little low on health. Unfortunately, with everyone in the orange, he's going to heal me first. So the way the AI for healing works is essentially it heals players in order of essentially their precedence within the team. So sort of going down. So obviously it starts off they heal according to how damaged you are. So anyone in the red is obviously healed before anyone in the orange, before anyone in the green. And then, but if you're in the same, then they just work their way down. So, and they always heal the lead character first, which is obviously beautiful when you need to be healed first, but at other times can actually just be a hindrance when you sort of feel like they just need to, you just want them to heal a given enemy, or a given enemy, a given friend. So we're going to get an Ember Ring there, and similar to the Spark Ring that we had earlier, Ember Rings protect against fire damage, as you might have guessed from the name. And the reason that is there is because we have a major boss coming up just here. So, yeah, the next battle we're going to have is a boss. I'm surprised that the game is actually it's actually falling into place quite nicely. I was not expecting. Nah, we want strength really with lightning, and by that I mean like each of these episodes seems to be sort of about the right length. I'm quite happy with black belts, physical damage for 10%. The next enemy is pretty frustrating, but we should hopefully be able to, obviously, being a boss, we are just going to quickly see what we can do with regards to maxing out people's Cristeria. Don't know whether after this boss, probably it might be after this boss that we actually get new stuff. Unfortunately, we can't max out you. I'm not going to be able to max out you. Actually, though, we can. That. And Vanille, let's have you learn fire. Yeah, there we go. Cool. The maximum CP you can hold at one time, I believe, is 99,999. So really, we're not going to get anywhere near that for a very long time. So yeah, it doesn't matter that we're sort of obviously storing up on hope, and we sort of just splurge it all at once. Indeed, later on in the game, you can't sort of just hold it back, because otherwise you will actually be wasting the CP that you'll be earning. So yes, we are now going to take on the Dreadnought.
What is that?
Pulse armament.
And that's bad for us, isn't it?
You have eyes, don't you?
I like the idea that Hope's just sort of cowering in the back and just sort of hiding away. So, Dreadnought. So this enemy's pretty interesting. It has the ability of removing. It's got pretty hefty physical attacks. Also has the ability of removing any debuffs that you put on it using a move called Steam Clean. I should have gone to Drive Thruster there. That's a bit of a mistake. What do I want to do? Libra. Twice. So there's Steam Clean. And what Steam Clean does is obviously removes the buffs, which is actually going to be helpful here because it's going to mean that Vanille's going to be able to attack once Steam Clean actually finishes. not, because we actually defeat him. We staggered him before Steam Clean completed, and so it doesn't count. I'm gonna have to start using Bully more, because I want to get some... It'll make more sense to actually get the boost in our friends' bravery and faith and all that. Okay, so he does that after using Steam Clean. We should be able to finish him off within this stagger, which is really good, and then... That's the first bit of this boss battle done, but of course there is more to be had here.
Thought we were goners. You alright?
I think so. Incoming.
So, now the Dreadnought's slightly more dangerous. It has the ability of landing fire. It has starts adding fire type attributes to its attacks, which is rather frustrating. And it's just ever so slightly more dangerous in general. There's the fire type moves. Okay, good. Get one of them on. Get the second one. We want to get him into Steam Clean, essentially, because obviously Steam Clean is actually, whilst frustrating, is actually a really good chance to stagger him. Okay, so now we're going to be able to use this as a chance to actually get... Oh, I didn't mean to do that. No. Really want faith on Saz rather than... but nonetheless. So this is the dangerous attack. It's called Wrecking Ball. Does a bunch of damage. As you can see. And he's going to use Steam Clean here, but we're actually going to be able to stagger him. Should be able to stagger him before he finishes that. There we go. So let's get into Relentless Assault. Just start pummeling him away. You can see Lightning's doing a bunch of damage here. Just want... for some reason, my ATP gauges aren't also filling. I thought they would be. Doesn't look like they want to, which is sort of annoying, but anyway, so let's make sure we've got Deprotect and Deshell on first. Okay, come on, Lightning. Looks like we're not going to be able to finish him off this stagger, which is going to be really annoying, but I mean, Lightning's still doing, what, 2,000 a hit, which is lovely damage. Okay, good. Let's get back to diversity. We need to heal in case of Wrecking Ball. So he should go for Steam Clean before he gets to Wrecking Ball, which is really good. Should actually give us the chance to... Oh no, he's actually going to go straight for it. Still obviously very useful that he actually turned to Lightning there, actually, rather than... And we should be able to finish him off. There we go. Lovely. So, we're now going to get the Medic... So we're going to get Crystarium expanded, we're going to get Medic to Lightning, we're going to get Commando for Saz, which is all very, very useful.
Pulse is crawling with things like that, isn't it?
Got me. Not even the Corps has access to intel on Pulse. Soldiers in the field fight blind.
Yeah, I noticed that. But don't you need to know exactly what you're up against?
Target's a target.
You like to keep it simple, don't you?
I stick to my goal.
As long as you have a goal, you can fight?
You can stay alive.
So there we go. We finish off that pulse armament, the dreadnought, which is really, really good. And now we're going to be able to head through here to another cutscene. Hopefully, then quickly hit a save point. Maybe we should save here. Now, actually, what we'll do is we will save here, and then we'll do the cutscene at the start of the next episode. I think makes more sense to me doing it that way around. So, I hope you have enjoyed this episode. We've done quite a lot, really. Really successful use. Yeah, we've just had a really successful run with our team here. I do like Lightning Saz and Vanille. It's not a bad team to actually be working with at this stage of the game anyway. But yeah, no, I hope you have enjoyed this episode, and in the next episode we will continue our way through the Vile Peaks. It should probably only have maybe two more episodes here in the Vile Peaks, and then we'll be moving into the next area swiftly onwards. But I hope you have enjoyed this episode. We still obviously have our 4 lives intact, which is always a plus to have. And yeah, hope you have enjoyed this episode, and I hope you will join me on the next.